Today, virtual reality appears in our society as one of the pathological forms of utopia, which in turn empowers the anomalous form of ideology. Even though democracies in the whole world require of the ideological to build themselves, they also need to be seduced by indifference, so as to avoid the ethic consequences that attract non-critical adhesion to a crystallized past. Looking into the past, modernity is characterized by a demarcation of the boundaries separating matters concerning civil government from those concerning religion, as expressed by Locke, one of the theorists of modern liberalism. Civil government was organized for the purpose of preserving the rights of citizens, such as the right to life, liberty, health, private property. It was therefore responsible for implementing the laws impartially, and its limit was to safeguard such rights. The reason which became the principal instrument in the construction of the new society consisted on utopia profiles, whose inexhaustibility would impose a rational scientific order and ensure a promising future, or at least these were their goals. This aimed to achieve a harmony between man and society, which would result in a regulated and orderly world, free of spontaneity. I would like to highlight that the modern reason worked in the same way as modern utopias, setting its goals on the future. These times neither escaped from the utopian optimism. They believed that thanks to knowledge they would reach power, and they committed themselves in a project that would ensure the general welfare in society. The utopia eliminated the anguish and the future. We are known toward a distant future, attractive but at the same time unrealizable, projected a world of ideas, full of virtualities, and as the modern reason do, points a new world where freedom, legality, and rationality are protagonists. Paul Ricoeur, in Education and Politics, says that the social imaginary consists of two conflicting axes, ideology and utopia. Ideology can be presented as a temporary concept that ends to the past, and utopia refers to a temporary concept that tends to the future. But both are essential constituents of culture. On the one hand, and according to the author, ideology was not only a negative sense, but a positive sense, as it allows recognition in tradition in the past and strongly consolidates what a community is. On the other hand, utopia implies a critical point of view with respect to a state of things, and imagines a better state able to overcome all traditions. However, and unfortunately, conflicts can appear. Both ideology and utopia have pathological forms. The first can become mere illusion and lies, and the second can mean an escape from reality. Current situation. I conceive utopia in a positive sense as a regulated idea that guides human acts in pursuit of a true state of things, manifesting a restless side of the human condition, unwilling to be mutilated, who tries to go beyond in the way of the vital projects. We know that we live in a world designed by technology, ruled by the mass media, which are some of the most impressive creations of modern reason. And we also know that many of the criticisms of modernity were emerging in itself, and that there is no modernity in its pure state, separated and distinguished from the ascetic postmodernism. I will not dwell on the very popular idea that postmodernity is the enjoyment of the moment, without another function than the same enjoyment. But I want to get deeper on the utopian concept, in order to pose that in today's world it operates in its pathological form, which in turn reinforces the mission of ideology. This means that if a culture is not projected to new horizons, it will be trapped in the past. What place would have a utopia in a world of uncertainties? with no expectation of a better tomorrow? It seems that utopias have lost their reason yet. However, there is one area in which possible things are revealed to be real, and I am referring to virtual reality, another major product of human reason. While utopias design possible worlds, a technique which creates a virtual reality with the same characters of the real reality is a way of making the impossible possible. In this way, the omnipotence of the human condition is able to express itself and demonstrate its ability to turn its fantasy into reality. Thus, the technology seems to solve the old problems of Heracles and Plato, Descartes and Baroque literature, finding in virtual reality the possibility that dreams become true. The ability to make real the virtual, living in the as if, place in the center of the debate the infinitive potentiality of human creativity and at the same time slows the imaginative capacity of the human being. In a virtual world, men would become immature, like children who believe that they disappear to the world by closing their eyes. The immaturity increases when man lives behind a camera or a computer outside frustrations, needs and wants, in a world where everything is possible. Thus, the world attains a degraded form of utopia, one that evades reality, condemning men to isolation, encapsulating them in their own pictures and fantasies without actual contact with the other, without a mirror in which to recognize their faces. In this way, men could have a different identity, a memory shaped by images and experiences planned by a computer. The virtual reality world would not be therefore a fantasy world without limits. It would destroy the fantasy because everything what we can imagine could live as real, making the fiction in the only known reality. This pathological form of understanding utopia is also experienced in our current information society that informs and at the same time misinforms. But all these forms, the experiences of virtual reality, the mass media society, are in reality a denaturing of the intrinsic meaning of utopia because it takes place when the man feels trapped in a state of things, so he imagines a different world. The utopian dimension is part of the ontological structure of the human being, and can be represented as an arrow thrown to a distant place, drawn as a goal of our aspirations. Although we know that it's full of achievement, it's not possible is the point to which we project our deepest wishes. The truth is that the world is characterized by the presence of pathological forms of utopia, who deny and evade reality. Today's democracies Today's democracy is defined as the effort of combining freedom and integration, so we can say that it's a combination of utopia and ideology, recognizing ourselves in memory, history, and believing in changing and modernization. Unfortunately, the truth is that many democracies are rooted into the past, and citizens of those democracies are protagonists from a history that they don't like. It's a dependency relationship established between the torturer and the tortured, between the master and slave. Our new society seems to be, in one hand, globalized and homogenized, and on the other, tribalized and particularized, making the particularism language and its codes an universal language, which leads to intolerant and ethically despicable behavior. That the positive sense of utopia is easily weakened can be seen in the decline of the public sector, the lack of credibility of governments, representative of political parties, trade unions, and of course of the state. We are in a society where everything is acceptable. In fact, everything solid seems to be dissolved in the air, dissolving the moral sense of freedom, responsibility, authenticity. There is no harmony between man and society, between citizen and government. On the contrary, corruption has crept slowly into social rights, and when men lose credibility in public issues, democracy comes in serious danger because human patients release their energy in the call for a leader to fulfill the role that the democratic state and its representatives were unable to meet. Indeed, democracy requires an ideological dimension, a tradition with which to identify, but also needs to be seduced by other things in order to constitute the social and political body. This does not mean that we have to rely on a crystallized past, but to recognize ourselves in history where we can plan the future, our future. It is at this point that comes into play the utopian dimension of the reason that strongly believe and look for a better world, without escaping from reality and their conflicts, but to appropriating them and write a new history.